All right, we're back for a second day of the Five Regions Face-Off virtual All-Star Tournament of Michigan high school hockey players. If you missed the previous episode yesterday, we live stream simulated three matchups. Blanking offhand. Let's see here. I can pull it up real quick. The North and the Upper Peninsula for the battle of the who's the Kings of the North. You had Metro East versus Metro East versus West. So you had a little East Coast, West Coast action there. The North was in action a second time against Metro West. We got three more games on the docket for you. Pretty good reception from the first round of games. I'm encouraged. We got to talk about a lot of actual players in their virtual characters here, so to speak, in the virtual tournament here. Talked a lot of hockey yesterday. Going to talk a lot more here as we continue to stream games. If you missed anything here, as far as what the hell we're doing here, PD, feel free to bounce back and check out a couple of the old episodes of the pod where I've kind of went into detail as far as what we're doing here with NHL 25 and having a little fun at the end of the Michigan high school hockey season. 120 plus created players in real life, now in the video game, simulating, having a little virtual tournament, having a little fun. Join me if you want to leave a comment and we can talk some hockey additionally. I'll be providing some commentary and talking about a lot of the players in seasons and teams and things that have happened over the last couple months. We're getting close to Team Michigan as well. We can talk camp, that event, who looks good, who's getting tender opportunities and things like that to play junior hockey now as we kind of shift into the off season a little bit. We talked about Andrew Larson yesterday and signing his entry level contract with the New York Islanders. There's another Michigan high school hockey guy on a proven path, as I see now on social media quite a bit. There's more here, and obviously the high school hockey route has become more of a proven path in recent years, and obviously a former Mr. Hockey, Joey Larson, kind of proven that too. So, okay, let's get into it. We'll pull up the stream here. Let me see. Get adjusted. All right, you guys can see this. We're good to go here. Uh, so good reception, good feedback yesterday from the live stream. Been hearing it on social media too, on some of the guys who were snubbed and should have been in the game that didn't make the cut, so to speak. Happy to have all those conversations. Also sounded like some of you enjoyed it, had some fun with it too, which is kind of what I was hoping for, right? It's an opportunity for us to kind of extend the season a little bit and keep talking about some of these top players in our game today. So we simulated three games yesterday. There wasn't a single power play opportunity in any of those three. So I did alter the game settings here a little bit. Also, hopefully, maybe a little more fatigue and we get more guys involved, a more line, a couple more rotations through the forward lines and things like that. What else do I got here for you? Oh, let me give you a bit of an update on where we are. There's a link in the description if you really want to follow along and nerd out with me. I've got standings. I'll update the standings real quick. The more games we get into here, and the more stats that accumulate, I'll also post maybe some leading scorers, top performers, things like that. Kind of ridiculous, but if you know me, that's right up my alley when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, uh, updating the standings here. Again, not very many games played with just the three yesterday. You got the West in the Upper Peninsula in a two-way tie for first at 1-0. The North played two games yesterday, went 1-1, so they're also kind of tied for first place there. But the West and Upper Peninsula with a game, obviously. And then you got Metro East and Metro West, both 0-1 yesterday, which in real life, if this was a real tournament, I'd be very surprised to see that. Obviously, just because of the talent-rich area that we are in here in Metro Detroit. So Okay, I did make some line changes as well since we had a bit of a break. I got some of the subs in the rotation. We changed goalies. You saw Gavin Zalkowski in net here for Metro East. It was Evan Civy in goal yesterday. Oh, there's a quick goal there. Graham Johnson on the board and doing something he did a lot of this past season, through much of his varsity career with Escanaba. Let me see if I can pull him up real quick. We can talk a little career numbers for Graham Johnson. Um, he's a guy who has been with Escanaba for 3 years now, I believe. Set to be a 4-year guy for him next year. Uh, Back to back 50-point seasons as a sophomore and then again as a junior this winter. He's looking at, what's that, 135 ish career points at the varsity level. Graham Johnson, a guy I like a lot offensively, super explosive at times and can really um, flex his goal scoring abilities. Reminds me a lot of uh, who was the Holton kid last year? Bring this up on the spot. Should have been more prepared. It's just you never know where the storyline's going to go here as we're following along with the virtual tournament. I never know who I'm going to need to talk about. Should have put together some broadcasting sheets like the big timers do. Uh, Mikey Millette, that's what I was thinking of. I think Graham Johnson kind of has some flashes of that where, Mikey Millette for Houghton last year could be really explosive going north and really dangerous. I think Graham Johnson kind of has shades of that as well. And now you look at another year of development and growth and where he could be this time next year. I believe he's a Team Michigan kid slated for later this month as well. A good showing there, a strong offseason, like I said, where his senior year he could be looking at his best yet with like I said, back to back 50-point seasons under his belt. Aiden Miles getting it done. So if you missed yesterday's stream, he actually scored the first goal of the tournament. So quite fitting here. He's scoring again. This would be his second goal of the 5 regions face-off virtual tournament here. Miles obviously scored a boatload of goals and a ton of offense in his 4-year career as well. And got some good feedback from the Nagani team account on Twitter as well. Glad to see they're following along with the action and having some fun with it. Aiden Miles, there's another guy who had back-to-back 50-point seasons, doing it as a junior again as a senior this winter. 117, 30, 42, 55, 155 career points, I think is what I'm looking at here. Not counting playoffs, but and I mentioned this on yesterday's pod as well, but I believe your all-time leading scorer there in program history. And I love to see that type of stuff on social. Some programs do a really great job with it. A lot of the UP programs, in particular, Escanaba, Houghton, Calumet, all represented here, obviously on the team Upper Peninsula. But very rich histories. They do a good job of tracking the data and all-time leaders and things like that over the years. I know Dean Locus a couple of years ago for Calumet, a guy who is actually in NHL 25 as well. Locus, this was 4 or 5 years ago now when he was a senior, a 4-year guy who had put up 200 plus points, I think. Video game numbers, which is ironic because here we are, and now he's actually in the video game. So Dean Locust, when they look, oh, there's another big goal. What is it? Is it 3-0 already? What is going on here? Rogan Turner, I believe that'd be his second goal of the tournament as well. Team UP rolling here early. Did not see that coming. Maybe my when I put together Metro East and Metro West, maybe I didn't make them strong enough because here they are getting shellacked in the early going. Look at that. What goalie is number 3? Gav, I don't know what happened there, buddy. When I created these goals, I was having an issue with the goalies. So I created them, got your pads right as best I could. Um, I put color schemes and all. There's so much offense happening now, I can't even keep up. Holy smokes. Let me finish that thought on the goalie stuff. So a lot of you guys, I was able to get numbers right, heights, weights. I did the best I could with what I had. Goalies, for whatever reason, I changed the numbers, changed them multiple times, and it's still reading error, not errors, but your goalie number 3, goalie number 22, like that's so I don't know what's going on with the goalie numbers here, but Casey Engel there for Team UP is obviously number 1, so that one checked out, but Zalkowski in the other end, not so much. All right, so both teams on the board here. What's that make it? 3-1, and we're still got time left in the first. This is on. This is tracking to be the highest scoring game of the tournament so far. In early going. Let me see. Let me get you guys a bit of an update on who's in the lineup today. That wasn't yesterday. If I can pop into these lines real quick. Here we go. Metro East. Grayson Heiser and Isaiah House are some of your alternate forwards that are in the mix. Haven't seen them yet on the stream. We can get into that if and when some of those guys make some plays here. Adam Morrison in the rotation on the back end as well. Utica Eisenhower, defenseman there. And then, like I said, Zalkowski and net. For Team UP, who gets into the rotation here? Nick Wood. I think I actually subbed in a Sault Ste. Marie kid and subbed out a Sault Ste. Marie kid. I believe I plugged him in for Evan Kennedy there. And then Eric Locus, another Calumet kid, cracking the lineup. On the back end, Ted Locus, which I need some UP people to weigh in. I need to know, when was the last time there was a Calumet roster without a Locus on the roster? I'd love to know. That's got to be a good trivia question, Michigan high school hockey trivia question there, because I think for as long as I've been doing this, there's been at least one Locus, if not more, uh, in the lineup. So there's a lot of other stuff when you get into obviously Patillas, especially around here, around Howell, Brighton area. In Jackson, there's typically at least one Lafier on the roster somewhere for Lumen Christie there. Um, let's see here. Who else got into? I got Casey Engel and Matt Cully Hayes with the start yesterday. A little fun here, one period in. We got 4 goals on the board, a lot of offense, lots to talk about. So much I can't even keep up right now. I'm moving so fast. Okay. Take a look here. Shots 18-11. 18, that's nuts. Still no power play opportunities. I'm kind of bummed about that. I wanted to get into some special teams because I put together power play units. I put certain guys that I thought fit on penalty killing units, gritty forwards, guys who are aggressive in real life. I tried to set these lineups up like it was a real team, right? So, okay, Gavin Moore there with a puck. Gavin Moore, I have him on D here because that was a lot of the feedback I was getting. I saw him as a forward last year, and obviously a very good one there for Kingsford. I thought him and Jake Crockford both were a good tandem for the Flippers. And had a lot of people talking to me about him playing defense this year, which great. There was a lot of forwards who transitioned back to be Charlie Price here in the center circle for Metro East being one of them with M1 United. So we saw a lot more forwards transitioning back to D this year. Gavin Moore for Kingsford being one of them. So obviously I was able to kind of sneak him in, get him into the lineup in a spot. Maybe I wouldn't have otherwise been able to, but a smart kid, hardworking kid who, good understanding of the game. I think seeing him transition from forward to D would be a pretty smooth transition as opposed to going from D to forward. So not every forward can transition back to the back end. But obviously, Gavin Moore is one I could see making that transition. think this was Landon Leone on the goal here from Trenton. I think so. There we go. Yep. All right. Charlie Price, Roman Valaire, that top line getting it done for Metro East cutting into the lead here. That top line put together there. Donovan Durbin, Charlie Price, and Roman Valaire. You got a couple of goal scorers on each side of an absolute work hard centerman there in Charlie Price, who was a guy, like I said, started the year up front and then transitioned his way back. Okay. Let's we got to get some new guys. Arco, DeForge, Londo on one side. You got Cavadio, Timko, and McNamara on the other. I think this is 2 versus 2 in terms of line combinations. Cavadio was a guy I liked a lot for De La Salle. De La Salle was an interesting team this year. They had some high-end firepower, but it was also a team that just worked really well. Work hard. Obviously, the first team to beat Detroit Catholic Central since De La Salle did it last time 3 years ago. Um, so just a good bunch, a good combination of flash and grit, I thought. And maybe not on a consistent night to night basis, but showed flashes of what they were capable of, and obviously it culminated with that win over Catholic Central. Dylan Blackwood in the center circle here, another one from De La Salle. I got Anthony Winkler, and then also, like I said, Zolkowski in net. So I think we got 4 De La Salle kids on this Metro East team. On the back end, nothing super exciting, but very stay at home, efficient, puck moving types, and that's what I liked about Winkler. A guy who was steady, you knew what you were getting from him when he had the puck on his stick. Blackwood, I thought was kind of their go-to, their big weapon up front offensively, but you also had guys like Cavadio, Bolton there for up front, Connor Blackwood. I'm assuming Dylan's younger brother there. Um, Connor Blackwood really came on towards the end of the season as well. He was a first-year varsity guy as a sophomore. And Connor Blackwood was a guy who I thought, like, once he kind of got his feet wet or he got acclimated to the varsity level, he really took off in the final month, 2 months of the season. And that was kind of the case for a lot of the guys uh, with De La Salle. A lot of first-year guys on the roster this season that had to kind of get up to speed a little bit the first month or so, getting acclimated to the level. So Grayson Heiser, I mentioned him cracking the lineup today in the tournament, getting into the lineup. I think I got him on the fourth line here. Whereas let me get to the Metro East. Where did I slot him in at? Yeah, maybe he's a third line. Maybe he's a third line guy here. But Heiser there for Rochester United had a fantastic season. I believe he led the team in scoring. And truth be told, there was probably a number of Rochester guys who could have cracked uh, this Metro East roster. Ooh, Gavin Wall with a good take to them there. Yeah, Grayson Heiser here, your leading scorer for Rochester United. 27 goals, 52 points on the season. Nolan Heiser, one of those guys I think could have been in consideration at the end of the day. So hey, maybe some injuries. I never wish injuries, whether they're real or virtual. But I did mention on yesterday's pod that if we do have injuries or things like that, we'll treat it as such. We can bring in some mid-tournament call-ups, add some guys to the mix as well. I won't rule that out. But Nolan Heiser, a guy you could very well see in consideration here. Braden Buckler is a guy I've talked about on several occasions this season. Just his first year sophomore. Can't wait to see what the future holds for him or kind of what's up next. Ooh, there's a big second goal for Landon Leon. How about back strikes for the Trenton defenseman? Not a huge part of his game offensively in real life here. What's he got? 4 goals, 22 assists on the season as a junior for Trenton. And man, the Trojans, they're losing a lot, obviously, with a guy like Evan Sivvy, who's been in goal for them for a number of years. And they lost quite a few seniors, but when you look at what they've got coming back, Leon especially, he's a junior defenseman on the back end. Um, a cornerstone for them on the back end as well. You could potentially get Donovan Durbin back as well. He's just a junior. Yeah, you get both of those guys back. That's huge for like I said, a program that I think graduated quite a bit this this winter or will graduate this fall. Uh, let's see here. Shots pretty even. Metro East draws to a 3-3 tie here. All right. We're getting good games out of this, which is what I like. They're close, they're competitive. Don't have one runaway team yet. That's good. Let me finish that thought on Trenton real quick. I want to pull up the roster and just see. Yeah, 10 seniors here on the roster. And all three goalies, is that right? Yeah, all three goalies are seniors too. So there's going to be a lot of turnover there for Trenton, but that's not unusual for that program either. Very much a group that reloads year after year. So I'd expect some strong first year guys to come in. But even so, like I said, when you have that much turnover, to be able to stabilize or lean on big time returners like a Leon and a Durbin, that helps out. So Cam George, man, he's been one of my favorite defensemen for a long time. It's going to be a bummer not having him in Michigan high school hockey moving forward. Just a super fun defenseman to watch. Smooth skater, smart with the puck. There's an expression we've used a lot to describe defensemen like him, a duck on water. Their legs are paddling and fluttering underneath them, but when you're looking at them on a pond, it's just cool, calm, collected, and steady. He's a guy who, a lot of players at this level thinking the game, a lot going on up top, but when you see their actions or you see the way they're playing the game, smooth, steady, smart with the puck, like that aptly describes Cam George, I think. I talked about him yesterday a little bit on how he looked at the state semifinals. Uh, and for Brother Rice, looked like he was the best player on the ice for them in that game against Stevenson. So that's a kid that if you're looking for senior defenseman or graduating defenseman, he'd absolutely be in the mix there with a lot of the guys you see on Team Michigan right now. Alex McCollum, Logan Betcher, uh, Justin Bloink, I think is your highest of the high end defensemen in this senior class. But after that, you'd absolutely have a guy like Cam George in the mix there. Um, I'd be curious, junior perspectives, see where he's at or what options he's exploring as far as hockey after high school. Absolutely on the table for a kid like that for sure. I feel like we've seen these two lines quite a bit. You got the two Houghton boys, uh, DeForge and Arco with Londo here. Londo was a guy I liked a lot at the MIHL showcase. Calumet was hard not to like at that event. I forget. Let me pull it up real quick. I'll see if I can pull it up. They lost the second game. I'm not positive on what I did in the first game because I only caught them on that second night. Yeah, they end up losing both games at the MIHL Showcase, 5-4 to Alpena and then 6-4 to Plymouth, which was the game I saw. Um, and you can't always measure teams and wins and losses the same way you can't measure players on goals and assists. I talked about that a little bit yesterday, just in terms of measuring a player's talent based on their accolades, goals and assists, things like that. You can't necessarily measure a team based on their wins and losses here either, um, especially in the game of hockey, which is just we can go down that. That's an entire rabbit hole of its own. But as far as Calumet, like I said, you go 0-2 on a weekend at the NIHL Showcase, but looked fantastic. Like I loved the way they played. buzzing around offensively. Guys like Londo. I mentioned Eric Locus. Who else do I have on this UP roster here from Calumet? Said Nathan Londo. Brendan Boberg was another forward up front. Eric Locus, I mentioned. Ted Locus on the back end. Gives you four. Plus, I got Bo Curry as a third goalie here for Team UP. So quite a few representatives from Calumet. A team that they were only 12 and 13 on the season, not counting playoffs. But man, they were dynamic offensively. They were fun to watch in the offensive zone. The puck movement, the fluidity, the creativity. And it started with guys like Nate Londo and Brendan Volberg and Eric Locus. Just a really unique group to watch there. So, all right, final minute here. Still tied 3-3. A little chance here for Blackwood to end it. Oh, and he does. How about that? Calls game basically with 30 seconds change left, 41 seconds left. What a comeback for Metro East here. Was that 3 or 4 unanswered goals? I think that's 4 unanswered. This was a fun one. It was a fun one, PD. It's not over yet. Still got a chance. Maybe. Virtual world's fine. The virtual world, we might as well mail it in. But real life, 41 seconds, that's a long time in real life to create an opportunity, create a chance. Here we go, Gavin Moore with a late push, empty net, angle to the bench. All the layers going to put on ice here. There it is. All game. All right. Good first game of the day. We got 2 more on tap. Why don't I tease those a little bit as this game wraps up? There's a link in the description if you really want to nerd out. Like I said, it's got all the upcoming games. It's got the standings. Maybe I'll even update those in real time for you. So everything is there if you want to check it out, the rosters too and whatnot. What games are coming up next here? We got, stop moving on. There we go. Metro West and West Michigan up next, and then we'll see Metro East a second time here in the finale of the day as they'll take on North. All right, come on. Let's wrap this. Let's wrap this. Let's get this. Although another goal would be the worst thing either. Talk about this week in course and pace. God, I love that defenseman too. I think I talked about him a little bit yesterday. I mentioned uh, Cam George. I think course and pace and Cam George are very similar stylistically. Uh, George might be a little bit bigger. I think he's listed at 6 foot. I'm not sure course and pace is quite that big, but both very similar style games there. And I like to provide kind of player comps too, because especially high school, like a lot of the coaches and people, scouts that have been around high school hockey long enough will resonate when you say a guy, oh, this guy plays like Adam Pitters back in the day, or yeah, he reminds me a lot of Jake Bonet on the back end type stuff. Those are some high level players. Both of those guys played D1 college hockey. So to draw comps to players like that, obviously, is notable for guys like myself, or like I said, scouts who have been invested in the area going back a couple of years now. So, course and pace, Cam George, I think they're similar stylistically. So it would be fun to get them on a defensive core together and then play together. Okay, let me check something real quick. I did want to check time on ice. I want to make sure we're good, guys. Looks like we're good. Okay, we're good. All right, we'll button this up. We'll get into our next game here. Like I said, Metro West and West Michigan. Metro West, I'll say, maybe a little bit of a disappointment yesterday, if you want to call it that. None of the usual suspects involved with Your Detroit Catholic Centrals weren't highly involved. Your Heartlands weren't highly involved. I had Henry Lansky in net, obviously a Howell kid there, and your Wall Award winner. Gave up a couple and they ended up losing. So that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping to maybe highlight or get a chance to talk about some of those guys a little bit more. Okay, here we go. We got our matchup. Get this all situated. I love these blue unis too, by the way. Oh, those are sick. I'm gonna have to change my PD's picks color scheme to this royal blue look. We'll get away from the red and black, and we'll go with the royal blue. Okay, a couple lineup changes here for these two teams. I'll make note of that right off the rip. Nathan Tilden into the lineup. Luke Philo into the lineup. Philo from Byron Center. I think I actually subbed him in and took Braxton McKee, another Byron Center guy, out. Uh, Carson Matter, and I got a message on Instagram about him. He's into the lineup today into the rotation. Good moving offensive minded defenseman. We'll see if that translates to the virtual world here. Ooh, big juicy rebound there. Nobody home. As for Metro West, who's cracking the lineup today? Braden Irvin, Alex Kozar in the rotation up front offensively. Trade Damien into the six-man defensive rotation. And then I'm not sure who I got in that. Did I keep Lansky in that, or did I? Yeah, it looks like that's still Lansky in between the pipes there for Metro West. Nolan Kaminsky. I didn't get a chance to talk about him a bunch yesterday. Obviously, your Mr. Hockey Award winner, deservedly so. I talked a lot about Dom Chaput yesterday and kind of the role he played for Salem. Um, Nolan Kaminsky, very well deserving of the Mr. Hockey Award here at the end of the season. He was fun to watch at the state semifinals there against Howell. Fun to watch all season long. Don't get me wrong. And actually, I kind of got to bookend the season. Right, I saw their first game against Howell at Victory Ice Center back in November, and then obviously get to see their last game coincidentally against Howell uh, at the Final Four. So big season for Salem all around. I'll be curious to see what a season like that does for the program. Growing the game, growing interest. When you see a guy like Kaminsky, who was playing for um, a top 10 ranked Victory Honda team, U16 or 16U Victory Honda team last season, to then come in to the high school hockey world and have the season that he did and garner the attention that he did. Uh, Hopefully that raises eyebrows for a lot of people around the state, that you can come here and have success and make a name for yourself and draw a lot of attention. I know, at least my understanding, anyways, from what I've heard, sounds like he's going the golf route. Got a golf scholarship, was my understanding. So maybe pursuing that a year from now. But like I said, if hockey is the route you want to go, um, you come here, you have a big year, you draw a ton of attention, you do really well for yourself and for your school. This can be a launching point to the next level as well for a lot of those AAA guys that are playing at a high level to come here and to play and make a difference. His teammate Isaac Embry, who turned a bunch of heads playing for a program like Lakeshore. Um, Lakeshore was a program who I might save that. I'll save that for the North game, and we can get into Lakeshore in a little bit there. I got obviously I mentioned Embry, but I also got Levi Young on that team in North as well. So maybe I'll save that for the third game of the day, and we can talk about a little Lakeshore hockey there. I was rambling there. I completely missed who scored the goal. It was number 12, Dom Chaput. Of course it was. Chaput had a big game yesterday. I think he had a goal, maybe an assist as well. So, oh wait, no, Chaput's 15. Who's number 12 then? I gotta go to my roster sheet. Who's 12? Nick Tim. Nope, that's not right either. Rory Sturos. Howell. Okay, so look at that. Put Howell on blast a little bit here. virtually anyways, about how, none of the Howell or Heartland or CC kids in the game were getting anything done, and then here they are, Sturos with a big goal there to get us started in game two. Tony Kaufman, there's a kid who, uh, good last year, great this year, I thought. A guy who just continued to develop, I think, on the path that he was um, with high school hockey, and really shined this season. I thought if you didn't get a chance to watch this kid, and, he wasn't an MDHL kid. I don't think he was like a Team Michigan tryouts kind of kid. Um, it didn't matter, right? He showed exceptionally well in the regular season, and sometimes that can be hard for scouts or for other coaches to get eyes on you, if you're not doing some of those extracurriculars. But had a fantastic season. I thought Caledonia as a whole had an awesome year. Um, but Kaufman, like, the couple games that I watched, he was big kid, power forward type, super aggressive on the floor. There's another goal for Metro West. See, I just have to put people on, put him on blast here a little bit, because there's a Heartland kid getting it done, Ian Evans. Chad Patilla and Wyatt Emmett with the assists. Um, Ian Evans, there's a Team Michigan kid for you out of Heartland. Heartland, very similar to maybe Cranbrook this year as well, had such great play from their centers. Obviously, Ian Castanel garnered a ton of attention, but Ian Evans worthy of a lot of the spotlight as well, because of how good he plays down the middle of the ice. Um, So yeah, that's all I had to do was put the virtual players on blast a little bit. Now you got it back to back. Howell goal, Heartland goal. Oh man, you almost had a third goal there uh, from Evans. That would have been something. So good start here for Metro West. Oliver Owen, one third, obviously, of that top line for East Grand Rapids. I don't know if they played the entire year together, but obviously him and uh, James Albers and Brady Ross, that was a trio that stayed together throughout the MDHL season in the fall. And what a huge benefit, I would say, right, for East Grand Rapids to have those three guys skating together for on a unit for 2 or 3 months before the season even starts. What a luxury there. So I'm confident that doing so obviously played a role in how hot they started off the season, and throughout the season. That line, like I said, was big for the Pioneers. Almost seconds here, the first period, a big shot there from Chase Potter. All right, we'll wrap things up here. End of one. What is it? 3-0? 2-0. 2-0 Metro West. And gonna zip right into the second period here. Shots are pretty even though. Time on attack is pretty even. West just gotta finish here. Gotta finish on some chances. Tony Kaufman, Braden Lewis, Brady Ross on the line. Kaminsky, Casanel Hall. I haven't seen anything out of Brendan Hall yet. Uh, on NHL 25, anyways. Obviously, fantastic. He's one I'm curious about when it comes to junior hockey. Stevenson as a whole has pushed a lot of guys on to um, different levels of junior hockey. Obviously your NA draws a lot of attention. USHL is a popular destination goal, but very few, not very many make it to that level. Period. Let alone making it from high school hockey. But NA obviously a popular destination, but there's a lot of leagues out there, guys. Like if you're looking at junior hockey, and I bring it up because Stevenson has pushed a lot of guys to leagues like, there's a traffic goal, they're waving it off. Pushed guys to leagues like the GoJ in Ontario, the Saskatchewan Junior League, the Alberta Junior League. There's a lot of different junior leagues out there. And I thought some of the conversations I have with people about juniors is like, it's not necessarily about the league, it's about the organization that you join. There's a really good program in the CCHL that I'd send kids to. There's a really good uh, program in the AJ I would push kids to. Like, it's more about the program and less about the league, because you have even tier 3 junior programs that do a really great job on getting guys onto the next level, whether it be NCAA D3, ACHA D1 type stuff. Um, to me, if it's not the NA and it's not the USHL and it's not the BCHL or the O or like some of these obviously popular and well-known leagues, your secondary or tertiary leagues, it's way more about the organization and less about the league. Like, I wouldn't just encourage people to go play in the NCDC because it's tier 2 junior. I wouldn't necessarily push people to go play um, in the Saskatchewan League just because it's Canadian junior. Junior. Um, you want to go to a place with a proven track record that does things the right way, that moves guys on and things like that. And that takes a lot of research. That takes a lot of doing your homework and things like that. Um, can't always take every coach or every scout or every advisor at their word, because ultimately uh, they've got other goals and motivations as well. So you're going to want to do your own homework and want to do your own due diligence on all of that stuff too. Look at last year's roster. Look at how many of those guys moved on. Look at last year's roster and look at where they're playing this year, um, to kind of give you a bit of an idea. I think that's important to do for AAA teams too. If you look at the U16 team, look at who was on that U15 team. Was there a high turnover rate? Where did those U15, U16, such a bad habit? It's 16U and it's 15U, um, but nonetheless, like, looking at that turnover year to year, where did those players go? Did they leave for better opportunities and they're now playing junior hockey, or did they just jump from program to program? The same is true for junior hockey. Did guys uh, leave the program and get opportunities to play college hockey somewhere? Did they advance and move on to a higher level of junior hockey, or are they kind of stuck? Was there 95% of the roster from last year came back this year? Um, Another important thing too is how many guys on the junior hockey team you're looking at joining. Uh, how many of those guys are aging out? How many of those guys could be back next year? If you're a defenseman, for instance, and a junior team is after you and pursuing you, and then you look at their roster from last year and they got 7 defensemen that are expected to come back. Where do you fit into that equation then, right? Like, you want to do your homework, and coaches, scouts, advisors, they're going to tell you what they want to tell you, right? Um, Salesmen to a degree, and I don't fault them for that, right? As a coach, we do the same thing. We believe uh, in our abilities as coaches. We believe in our abilities to advance you, to move you on, to promote you, right? So I don't fault anybody for making a sales pitch. That's normal. But my whole point is you want to do your own homework too, and not just take everybody at face value. Nino Sui here for Catholic Central. I just saw him here, number 2 with the puck. Him, Kyle Lynch. I talked about Lynch a little bit. Sui, Catholic Central was interesting up front. I thought their strength was absolutely on the back end. With Bloink, Sam Wolak could have been on the Metro West roster here. Nick Leiter was a defenseman and I think converted to forward at some point throughout the season. Sammy Masick, another strong defenseman there for on the back end. Sean Gott, like, they were so good on the back end. But offensively, I wouldn't say there was a ton of creativity, like dipsy do fancy stuff up front. There was a lot of hard working, energy, effort guys, and obviously got the job done there at D1. But Nino Sui, to me, was one forward in particular that I thought had that skill set, who um, flashed another gear, showed abilities of being able to make high level hockey plays, um, and produce at a high level. So that, I feel like he kind of separated himself apart from the rest. offensively for Catholic Central. That's kind of why I slotted him in here. I know a lot of people will points watch and so and so had more points or this or that, but like I said, I was trying to assemble this team like I was assembling a real team. So like all big goal there. See, all I had to do was put the big names on blast. Here you go. You got 3 goals from who? Heartland, Howell, Catholic Central. How funny. Couldn't have written that any better. Justin Bloink, he was kind of on another level, and it's not the first time we've seen something like that. I think back to Brendan Miles a couple of years ago for Catholic Central, who spent the first half of the season in the USHL and then came back and played the final 15 games down the stretch for CC. I believe they have won a state championship that year as well. But Bloink, very similarly, I think Brendan Miles was more dominant as a senior. But like I said, coming from the USHL, you'd expect that. But I think Bloink in a similar fashion, um, head and shoulders above, showed that he was um, uh, the best prospect, the best junior hockey prospect in Michigan high school hockey this season. What do you have on the season? Let me see. I'll pull up his numbers. 17 goals, 39 points. I believe he led Catholic Central in points. 2 interesting years for Catholic Central back to back because last year Brooks Rogowski obviously led the team in scoring, and now he is in the game with Oshawa in the OHL and having a fantastic season. But Rogowski was like the first sophomore in like 30 years or something to lead CC in points. Then this year you have a defenseman lead the team in points, and I don't. That hasn't happened in the Hockey Hub era, that's for sure. If anyone has records that go farther back than that, I'd love to take a look. So just a big season for Blanc all around, and then you think about the schedule and everything that goes in with CC. Just a fantastic year for him, and obviously the sky's the limit there. I'll be very curious. There's a lot of guys with junior hockey potential in high school hockey right now, and it comes down to how bad do you want it. And so I think Blank, the opportunities are there, and would be very nice to see him pursue those should the opportunities arise. 3-0 here. West got to get going. Running out of time here. Although Henry Lansky in net, you know, very much put up video game numbers in real life. So I'd expect him to do the same here, obviously in NHL 25. 28 saves on the day. Can't fault West. It's not for lack of effort, that's for sure. Luke Storm, I got an opportunity to talk about him a little bit yesterday. One of we got 4 Hollow guys on the lineup here. Yeah. Heisman, Albers. Albers hasn't got going yet in the tournament. Here we go. 91%. What was that? I missed that. Peter Sainin. Here we go. We're just talking heavily on CC guys. Sainin in the circle with the draw. Sturos. I think I put Storm. So I think I had Sainin between Sturos and Storm, between 2 Hollow guys. That might be a little awkward after the state finals and everything, but it would be an interesting line dynamic. Oh, another goal from the point. How about that? Alex McCollum on the back end. He was. I talked about the Northfield duo yesterday during the stream. Wow, that's not going from the back end here for Metro West. Which, if you look at this, let me just rifle off this decor. I know we've seen them in the game, but Bloink, Patilla, McCollum, Nelson. I got Damien in the rotation today with I don't know if it's Kraut or Strobel, but either way, those are 7 defensemen that are all in the mix, in the conversation for not just being one of the best defensemen in their class, but one of the best defensemen in the state, period. You got 2 underclassmen there in Patilla and Strobel. But Patilla especially, Would absolutely have a case to be in the mix among some of the best defensemen in the state. Strobel is fantastic. I love the potential he has down the road as well. Um, there's a ton of talent up front. Don't get me wrong. You got one, two, and you got two guys that were dream team. Another in Kaminsky and Hall, or Kaminsky and Castamo. Hall, I think, probably could have been in consideration there as well. Peter Sainin, and then Castamo, obviously your player of the year with state champs. Blank on the back end, like Metro West. This was my early pick to win it all. We'll see how, like I said, we'll see how the tournament unfolds. This win here would make them 1-1. What would that move West to? West would be 1-1 as well. UP won the first game. Is that what happened? No, Metro East with 4 unanswered. Wow. So I think we're gonna have a bit of a log jam here. I think everybody is gonna be 1-1 after this. That's kind of cool. Chase Potter did a little snapshot there. A couple of Cap City kids on the lineup here too. Chase Potter, I just mentioned him. Toby Perot on the back end. And then I'm going to get Sean Story a start here. I got Mellon in net still for West, but when I update the lines between today's stream and tomorrow's, we'll get Sean Story a start here for West Michigan. Cap City as a program on the rise, man. Been talking about them for a while now. Pieces are starting to come together. Guys are buying in, obviously. Coach Joe Ford does a fantastic job of getting guys to buy in and play the game the right way. Chase Potter was an interesting one, watching him at Team Michigan Fest 3 weeks ago now. He's not in tryout settings. It's very unique. You want to do things that make you stand out, that separate you from the pack. Sometimes, depending on your playing style or your type of game that you play, that can be really tough in a tryout setting. Doesn't mean you're not capable, doesn't mean you're not producing or you're not effective or things like that. But sometimes, being good positionally isn't the most attractive thing in a tryout situation, right? Because you're not hurting your team, obviously, but it's also a spot where it's hard to like show your value, so to speak, if you're sound defensively or you're well coached. A guy like Chase Potter makes a ton of plays. If you watch him during the regular season for Cap City, obviously led the team in scoring, I think for a second year in a row now, sophomore year and junior year both. But a guy who can make plays when the opportunity presents itself. It's just, like I said, in a tryout setting, that the opportunities are few and far between because everybody is so talented and so good. So I missed that. Who was that? Nathan Tilden ending the shutout streak there for Henry Lansky. A late third period goal gets West on the board. Big clapper there from Raymond Smith trying to cut the lead in half, albeit off and on. All right, so 2 games in the books. I got one more stream coming your way here, and then we'll wrap up. Tuesday. Like I said, be sure to check out the link in the description. Out with me as we get going. Like I said, I'll even put some player stats up there. Your leaders in goals and assists and save percentage and all that. We'll have some fun with that on pdspicks.com as well. So check that out. Upcoming game, we got Metro East for the second game of the day that will play North for the first time. So we'll just talk about Team North a little bit. Their shots are 35-20. Metro West, quality over quantity, I guess. We'll go with that narrative. All right, we'll button things up here. Peter Sainin, 2 assists, second star of the night. I'm going to zip through this a little too quick. Third star, Ian Evans. Okay. I missed that first star, but all right. All right, here we go. Let's get this third game on tap here. So we'll go Metro East, North. Love the red unis too. Maybe I'll stick with the red color scheme. I did like that blue, but these reds look sharp too. We're off and running here. Let me see. I'll get you an update here on who's in the lineup today. Who do we got? Metro East already touched on them. Heiser, House, Morrison cracking the lineup here. We're seeing Gavin Zelkowski in that, as I mentioned before. For the North, I got Matt Bay Timothy even in the lineup up front. Isaac Wheeler, Anderson Ward, a Petoskey kid, two Petoskey kids here in the lineup for the North. And then who I got? Hunter Clark, your state championship winning goaltender from Flint Powers, and that obviously needs to stay right out of the gate. How about that? I did get a request, I think on Instagram maybe, for uh, are these rosters downloadable? And they're not yet. I can make them available if people want them. And per that request, I'll probably get around to doing that at some point this week and make these available to you. Like I said, I would not get super hung up on player overalls. It was more about the individual attributes. If you missed yesterday's explanation, like I said, I used Brooks Rogowski as kind of the benchmark for creating the high school hockey players just because he was playing high school hockey 12 months ago. So he kind of served as that baseline for us to create all these players for this tournament. Nick Hadji, big defenseman, and he looks big on this game too. When I created all these players, I tried to make you as close to the realistic as possible, heights, weights, and all that. So what you're seeing is as close to what it would look like if you were in the game. So Hunter Clark here for Flint Powers. I talked about him towards the end of the season. Obviously, after that state championship win too, I feel like a bit of an unsung hero there for Flint Powers. Obviously, Aiden Cook was exceptional and a ton of talent throughout that roster. You know, however many. Let me pull up Flint Powers real quick because I know they had a boatload of guys involved offensively, um, and they have the last couple of years, right? But this year in particular, let's see what I'm looking at. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 guys, double digits in points. And that doesn't include the playoffs based on what I'm looking at here. So a very diverse offense up front. And then, like I said, Aiden Cook obviously is a story in and of himself. Um, but I don't know if they win a state championship without Hunter Clark in that. I don't. He made some big saves for them in the semis and finals and came through in some big moments. And he did that all season long. You know, I mentioned their game against Houghton at the MIHL showcase when I watched them. They won 4-3. So face value, you don't feel like that's a very big performance from either goalie, right? In a 4-3 game like that. But there were breakaway opportunities, there were power play opportunities where he's coming up with some big and timely saves that you need to have, and he came through in those moments. Um, so, you know, you look at his numbers for the season, a 229 goals against and a 910 save percentage. Those numbers are good, but not like head turn worthy, right? It's not like a sub 1.5 or a 950 save percentage or anything that's really going to like slap you in the face. But like I said, it was just the timeliness of his efforts. And yeah, they might have won 4-3, or they might have won 3-2, or the Marquette game 5-4 and things like that. But you just wonder, like, what do those types of games look like if they don't have him in that, right? So that to me was kind of my big takeaway from the state finals was as good as Aiden Cook and some of those other guys were. To me, it felt like their Achilles heel, not Achilles heel, but like the key to their success was in goal with Hunter Clark, a junior, no less, who, you know, we could see again back next year. and you get a guy like Clark back in net. You get a guy up front in Aiden Cook back, Owen Perry back. Man, Powers is going to be scary yet again. So I did miss who that first goal was from. I saw Heiser was in on it. So into the lineup and on the score sheet pretty quick there. Oh, Drew's Remick just staying white hot in the tournament. Traverse City Central kid here. I believe that's 3 goals now in 3 games of the tournament, and probably your leading scorer here through the halfway point of the round robin action. Talked about Zermic quite a bit there. You saw Owen Perry on the assist. I was just talking quite a bit about Flint Powers. Owen Perry in the season that he had as a freshman, just exceptional. I thought. I don't know that we've seen too many freshmen in recent memory come in um, and have that type of performance. There was a lot of standout freshmen this year. Let me pull up my all freshman team, and we can touch on them a little bit. Obviously, um, Owen Perry kind of being the headliner of that bunch of the all of my all freshman team. But make no mistake, you got other guys on there like Bryce Patilla from Howell, who I think is probably your best uh, junior hockey prospect of this bunch of the class of 2027, 2028. Patilla, I think, has an extremely well-rounded game and right to be a top prospect in the coming years. Easton Ball, another one with a super well-rounded game. Him and Evan Matilla were an awesome tandem playing on either side of Seth Sandstrom in that Marquette lineup. Braden Ash, I got good reports about too, out of Saline. Just a do-it-all center type guy who played in all facets of the game for Saline. Max Nordstrom, Braden Curry from the UP, Mikey Truby out of Clarkston, Cooper Karapitz from Plymouth. There's some awesome talent in this class of 2028 that I'm excited for down the stretch. I talked about Graham Johnson for Team UP here. Griffin Johnson on the back end for Escanaba, a 2010 lefty defenseman. He's super talented. I like him too. Daniel Avery, a big towering defenseman on the back end for Howell. There's some names here. Whit Hill for EGR. He played some huge minutes for Pioneer against some top 10 competition. Owen Perry is kind of that freshman representative in this tournament, but there's a lot of talent from that group that we could see in our game for the next several years. So that's super exciting. All right, one period down here. 1-1, right? Shots 10-6. I'll take that. Pretty evenly matched. We still have not seen a power play. I'm going to have to adjust that again. That's insane. Basically 6 games through, and we haven't seen a man advantage yet. Not that I want to turn this into a power play fest, but at least get some other guys more heavily involved in the mix. Oh, big goal of that. Follow your shot. Go to the net. Aiden Cook, one of the top scorers in the state this season. I think that's actually the first goal for him of the tournament. Um, just a, he dominated, and I don't like watching him throughout the season. He was great, but I don't feel like he dominated the way he did at Plymouth. Watching him in those 2 games was really impressive. You don't see many kids dominate the biggest stage, right? The way that he did. Um, and it was pure domination against Granville. Like he would get the puck and go end to end and skate through guys like it was nothing, and still making the right plays too. I don't mean like he got the puck and wheeled and skated himself into trouble and tried to dipsy do through 2 or 3 guys. Um, I felt like he was making the right plays a lot of the time too, and just Cam Duffney looked that way to me last year in the state semis and finals. There were moments last year where he took over that game against Clarkston and imposed his will on the game. Aiden Cook very much did that this year at the D2 finals. So that was really impressive to see. Gavin Winterstein, I talked about him a little bit yesterday too. I touched on a lot of these guys throughout the last 2 days. Roman Belair was a guy I think there was a lot of hype and a lot of excitement coming into the season around him, and deservedly so. Just given his talent, his skill set, his just sheer ability to finish and score goals. Um, but he was one who, Brother Rice as a whole, I think, kind of got out to a bit of a slow start. Um, and he was kind of part of that, right? He was producing, but maybe not producing at the clip that a lot of us maybe expected to. But as the season wore on, he started to produce. Brother Rice started to win more games, and then by playoff time, they were reeling and ready to go for a playoff push. And if I'm looking at this real quick, 7, 10, 12 points going into Christmas break. And then he finishes the season with 43. So, yeah, just like absolutely turning it on down the stretch. And if you look at, I wonder if I can do this real quick. Uh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games he was held without a point. And Rice lost all but one of them, I think. Like, there's your key to success for the Warriors was, if he could get going, if he could create opportunities for him, get him some open looks, and if he can finish, the team will go as far as he goes, kind of thing. Uh, so yeah, like I said, a bit of a slow start for him and for Rice, but obviously cranked it up there in the second half, and things just got right after the new year. You see that a lot with teams in high school hockey. The new year, winter break, coming out of that, it's almost like a second season. We talk about that a lot as coaches. And you take that week, 2 week break, and each program handles it differently. I think for Rice, I think it was a pretty clean separation there for 2 weeks where there were no games. Yeah, December 19th, and then their next game wasn't until January 10th. You're talking about almost a month between games. That gives you a lot of time, and I think they were a little banged up heading into winter break, so it was an opportunity to get healthy. Um, some of your systems and strategies and things like that, guys might not be executing on as crisply uh, going into winter break, so it's an opportunity to just kind of get right. So early season hockey is important. It's fun to watch. You got a couple showcases that are important. But ultimately, you see a lot of teams come into the new year every year um, looking like a different team, and I think Rice was one of those. And then obviously it culminates with a big playoff push to the state semis. Adam Morrison is that his first name? Yeah, I'm Adam Morrison. I'm only thinking about the old basketball player for Gonzaga. I think it was. Yeah, Adam Morrison. Okay, that's what I thought. Get him into the lineup. I saw you just hit a puck there and stuff. Owen Perry, the freshman sensation. He's gonna be the story of the virtual tournament. Look at that, cleaning up a rebound. But Adam Morrison there for Eisenhower. I got two Eisenhower defensemen here in the mix for Metro East, Morrison and then Leighton Mayer as well. And then Bodie Farr up front too. I think it's an interesting team, man. I liked them when I saw them last year. I liked what I saw from them this year. There's some pieces there that you can work with, and so for them to win a regional, for them to go to the state tournament rounds and play CC tough, as tough as you can with a team like Catholic Central. Um, there's some other defensemen on that team I like too. Uh, but there's some pieces here for and young guys too. Moving Metro with a strike goals, back-to-back goals for the North. What do we got here? What's this for? replays are brutal. Just show me what the score is. Ding. Low blocker. Place to go, boys. Uh, Defensively here for Ike, Nair and Morrison were the ones I kind of spotlighted here. Weston Zederek was the one I was thinking of. Matt Doust as well. Those are four great defensemen. Like I would, if that was my defensive core, I would feel awesome on the back end. Um, Nair, Morrison, you're kind of upperclassman. Morrison's a senior. Is Nair? Yeah, Nair is a senior too. But even with those guys graduating, to still be able to lean on so Derek, who will only, he's a sophomore right now. I think Doust is a sophomore too. So junior. Um, yeah, okay, Doust is a junior, but to have both of those guys potentially coming back next year as well, that's a strong contingent. Plus Bodie Farr up front. Those are some talented pieces, and I'm looking at their stats here as a defensive core. Nothing real dominant, 17 points, 11 points, 9 points, 7 points. It's not going to wow you on the stat sheet, but if you watch these guys, Doust and Zederek are very similar to me, super smooth skaters, very in rhythm. I love seeing defensemen in rhythm where their feet and hands are fluid. Puck comes to them, they're in rhythm, and they move it up. That's very much what those guys are. Nair and Morrison, like I said, being the seniors, were the ones I kind of focused on for this in particular. But you got a couple options there for Ike. And I thought, is their goalie an underclassman too? Well, Connor Holmes is a junior. And looked, there was a lot of buzz around him at Team Michigan Fest. I didn't end up making the cut. I get that, um, but positionally sound, good footwork and things like that. So I know there was a lot of intrigue and excitement about Holmes in particular and what he brought to Team Michigan Fest. So that's why I tell you guys too, it's not about making or getting cut. You got to show well, and again, I think a guy like Holmes did that. So it's up to. I'd love to see some of these guys kind of take that next step. Okay, you did Team Michigan tryouts. You looked well. You did well. Maybe take in a junior campus on the, maybe make a push for MHA or MDHL in the fall. Put your hat in the ring on some of those things. I know there's a lot of split season guys throughout the state, and especially uh, in the East, this Metro East region. There's a lot of guys doing split season stuff. Keep pushing the envelope. What's next after that, though? I think there's better opportunities out there to keep kind of pushing that competitive level and pushing to get you to compete against guys that are even bigger, even faster, even stronger, to step up your game and make you play at a higher level too. Split season is nice and it's good for some, um, but I think there's another gear for a lot of people as well. So, all right, 4-1. All right, we're getting some lopsided games right now. 4-1. Last game was 4-1, I think. Not to root for anybody here, but come on, Metro East, make it a little interesting. At least here. What do we got? Ward, there you go. Zrimic, this guy's just making plays everywhere. Zrimic might end up being the MVP of the tournament at this rate. Isaiah House, there's another underclassman, a young guy um, for Brother Rice. He's a sophomore, and I don't have too many sophomores in this tournament either. Let me see if I can comb through the rosters real quick and tell you. Probably a quick way to do this. Grade there. That might be too hard on the spot. I don't know how many I got, but Isaiah House was a guy that every time I saw Rice, I saw potential there. Like it's there, and obviously as he continues to grow and mature and develop, the opportunities should be there for him to play an even bigger role, to get a bigger chunk of the pie. on a program that's deep, that has horses, that has guys that can make plays. Being a first year sophomore, I'm obviously not going to get all of those opportunities right out of the gate. But for a guy like House, who was a major contributor for them, what's it, fourth on the team in scoring, 11 goals, 22 points. What did he do in the playoffs? A point in every playoff game, two goals, two assists at least, up until the state semifinal there. So, like, a big time contributor already as a sophomore, and is only going to improve and get better from there, too. So, uh, kind of exciting and maybe potentially scary for opposing teams, what the future might hold for him at Rice if you have the Warriors on the schedule and having the game plan and scheme against a guy like Isaiah House and what he brings to the table. So Levi Young, here's the other half of that Lakeshore contingent that I was talking about earlier that I wanted to get to. Isaac Embry uh, was a teammate of Mr. Hockey Nolan Kaminsky there with BH last season. And he made the jump to high school hockey this fall as well. Obviously, had a huge campaign for Lakeshore alongside Levi Young, another AAA kid who made the jump this winter. That tandem completely rejuvenated that Lakeshore program. They had gone 2.5 years without winning a game. Think about that. These two guys come in and elevate them to a 500 team, I believe, against um, with limited resources at your disposal. That's what you want to call it. Like, wasn't a super deep team, wasn't whatever you want to call it there, but so for those two, and obviously others involved, but those two kind of the tip of the spear, and um, by all accounts, kind of changing the culture, so to speak, and uh, changing the way things had been done for a lot of years. Those two guys deserve a ton of credit for what they were able to do this season. And I think, like I said, kind of goes back to illustrating if you make the jump, if you come here from the AAA world, like, and you completely overhaul a program like that, people are going to take notice regardless of whether you're a AAA kid going to CC or you're a AAA kid going to Lakeshore. You come in and you contribute on that scale, that level, people are going to take notice, and you're going to draw attention to yourself in a really positive way. So we can touch on them more as the tournament unfolds, I'm sure, and we'll get into some other guys here as we reach the halfway point of round robin. I think we got a couple more games to go, and we will be streaming these all week. So be sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. That way you can kind of get notified when the next stream happens. I got 3 more games on the slate for tomorrow and so on throughout the week. But my streaming schedule is going to be a little sporadic, so you're gonna have to bear with me. 4-1, shots pretty even, still no tall. Yeah, I'm gonna fix that between now and the next stream. Oh, I can't talk. All right, can I pop back? Come on, where do we go? Maybe if I just stop sharing my screen. There we go. Wanted to bring it back to center here a little bit. Okay, so yeah, 2 streams in. Got a couple more games to go. If you're enjoying it, hit that like button. Subscribe as well. Leave a comment or something. Connect with me on social. Let me know if you're following along and enjoying not just the stream, but the commentary as well. Like I said, it just kind of gives me an excuse to continue talking about and spotlighting some of the players. Talk about prospects, what next year might hold for some of these guys, whether they're going to be notable returners to Michigan high school hockey that we'll want to know about, or potential junior hockey prospects that we'll want to keep an eye out as they pursue higher levels of hockey as well. Any other breaking news, any other hockey stuff comes up, obviously we'll talk about that throughout the week as well. Till next time, skate hard, have fun, see you.